Like, oh, why not all lives matter? Well, Black Lives Matter means all lives matter. But all lives matter is a silly notion when you're saying Black Lives Matter, because Black lives currently don't matter. They are weaponizing Kanye West's vulnerabilities. Those vulnerabilities themselves do not excuse his behavior, by the way. He is a gigantic narcissist. I mean, everybody knows this already. Everybody knows he's a gigantic narcissist, okay? Surrounded by sycophants and is desperately looking for any kind of attention from no matter who it is, right? And look where it got us.
Welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Kanye West, now known as Ye, is one of the best-selling musical artists in the world. He has also in recent years become a celebrated and very highly paid fashion designer. And of course, for a decade, he was well known to TV audiences as an in-law of the Kardashian family. But it's West's latest incarnation as a kind of Christian evangelist that brought us to his office in Los Angeles today for the interview you're about to see. Days ago, during Fashion Week in Paris, West, accompanied by his friend Candace Owens, unveiled a T-shirt that read simply, "White Lives Matter." The response from the fashion industry and international media was instantaneous and uniform. Shock, horror, rage. "There is no excuse for this," thundered the New York Times. "West is legitimizing extremism," shrieked Rolling Stone, etc., etc. What was strikingly missing from the coverage, however, was any explanation for why West did this. What was the T-shirt about? No one seemed to think to ask him, much less to listen to what he had to say. Instead, the enemies of his ideas dismissed West, as they have for years, as mentally ill. Too crazy to take seriously. Look away, ignore him. He's a mental patient. There's nothing to see here. But is West crazy? You can judge for yourself as you watch what we're about to show you. He has his own ideas, we can say that. Creative people tend to. That's why they're artists, not actuaries. His free-form social media posts give the impression of a man channeling his rawest emotions right onto Instagram. The effect can be jarring and is often used as ammunition against him in the battle for influence over the minds of America's young people, and that battle is intense. But crazy? That was not our conclusion. In fact,
Yeah, no wonder that was not your conclusion, because let's be fucking real. The right does not give a shit about black people. They've never given a shit about black people. That's why they do racial agitation as a viable tool for galvanizing their base of white supremacists that are the most active within the party. And they don't give a fuck if a black man is having a mental health episode. As long as they can use that black man to advance their narrative, they're going to do it. Oh, we don't think he's crazy. Crazy? I mean, that's not crazy. I mean, look at Herschel Walker. Anyway.
We've rarely heard a man speak so honestly and so movingly about what he believes. But again, you can judge for yourself. Here it is. So you just came from Paris Fashion Week. You just landed, and you have a lanyard still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Why is that? And that you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And good, amen, I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
I'm starting to see why they want to make you be quiet. When did you?
I'm going to run that back. Sorry.
Man, I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
I love Tucker Carlson and his inability to hold his excitement at what the most divorced dad in America is saying on the most white supremacist broadcast, which also unfortunately happens to be the most popular news broadcast in the country. Like, he just goes,
I'm starting to see why they want to make you be quiet.
He just came. He just came in his pants, dude.
When did you start to feel this way? When did you start to realize this?
I really felt like, I think I started to really feel this need to express myself on another level when Trump was running for office and I liked him.
Yes.
And every single person in Hollywood, from my ex-wife to my mother-in-law to my manager at that time to, you know, my so-called friends / handlers around me, told me, like, if I said that I liked Trump, that my career would be over, that my life would be over. They said stuff like people get killed for wearing a hat like that. They threatened my life. They put my life. They basically said that I would be killed for wearing the hat. I had someone call me last night and said anybody wearing a White Lives Matter shirt is going to be greenlit, and that means that they're going to beat them up if they wear it. And I'm like, you know, okay, green light me then.
Dude, just substitute White Lives Matter for the swastika, by the way. Like, because that is what that is. It's a white supremacist slogan. I want to fucking get to the heart of this one more time for people who have any sort of, like, confusion around this, because White Lives Matter is a slogan that was created as a counter to Black Lives Matter. It is no different than White Power, which is the slogan that was created after Black Power during the civil rights movement. It's just PR. It is propaganda from white supremacists to try to deflect away the attention from black people saying, hey, we matter. Stop killing us. Okay? That's what it is. So anyone that says that that's not the case, they're ridiculous. Now, there's varying degrees. There are people who are duped by this propaganda without recognizing that it is actually white supremacist propaganda, of course. Such is the nature of effective propaganda. But do not misunderstand that this is exactly what this is, okay? When someone says white lives matter, they're openly stating it. He's not even saying all lives matter, by the way, which is the more Republican version of that propaganda. White lives matter is just straight up white supremacists. There's varying degrees of racism involved in here, okay? There's varying degrees of racism involved in this matter. Obviously, the all lives matter is like the more publicly acceptable version of that, right? Like, oh, why not all lives matter? Well, Black Lives Matter means all lives matter. But all lives matter is a silly notion when you're saying Black Lives Matter, because black lives currently don't matter. Okay? All lives don't matter until Black Lives Matter, because black lives are a part of all lives. Do you understand? So if you're looking at someone going, hey, my house is on fire, okay, while their house is on fire, and another guy goes, hey, man, well, I lit up this candle over here. Why don't we focus on all fires? Well, maybe you're being a little silly bitch, okay? What's up, Tubbo? Tubbo, we're talking about Kanye West, Tubbo. Now, White Lives Matter also has additional context, obviously, because Black Lives Matter is about police brutality and the disproportionate targeting of black people, specifically unarmed black people, black men. Maybe you're being a silly bitch, says Young Skirt. Fucking got me, dude. Fucking got him. Fucking got him, dude. I have nothing to that. I am being a silly bitch. Anyway. Bro, shut the fuck up. You act as if black power doesn't exist as well, which is just as bad. Yeah, you're right, man. Black power against white supremacist institutions is actually just as bad as white supremacist institutions not being enough with respect to creating an environment that is hostile to black people, that people need to take matters in their own hands in the form of white power. Making an equivalence out of white power and black power immediately gives away your position as either the dumbest person on the planet who has been played a fool by white supremacists, or directly a white supremacist himself, okay? You're either a white supremacist trying to behave like you don't know any better, or you are so fucking dumb that you do not recognize that you've been duped by white supremacists in their effort to propagandize their position. Those people are trying to gatekeep the lives of people by bringing up racism. If someone of a different color were to say the N-word, even though they use that word themselves, is the fucking same shit. This is a hilarious fucking take. Okay? If chattel slavery had not happened, if rampant colonial exploitation and acts of imperialism that still continue on to this day had not happened, the N-word would not have the power that it currently holds. What you are demonstrating is white fragility, okay? You're mad. You're basically saying, well, it was just a word. Why can't I say it? It's because your fucking grandfather said it, and when your grandfather said it, he used it as a way to justify slavery, okay? Aren't you ignoring all the historical examples of black supremacist societies and the correlating examples of white subjugation? What, like fucking Wakanda? What the fuck do you mean? Historical examples of black supremacist societies. Bro, you don't have to fucking literally try to find like one random tribe or something, okay, to try to justify overarching Western hegemonic superpowers destroying and exploiting the African continent in perpetuity that led to the Industrial Revolution and kept black people globally down. That chatter was joking, right? There's no way that he was right. I mean, the N-word is a reference to slavery. A black person saying it to another black person is solidarity. A white person referencing slavery to a black person is obviously way worse. Yeah, of course. And if the historical precedent of the N-word was not set by the struggles that black people historically faced and the remnants of said struggles that are baked into all of our Western institutions, okay, then nobody would give a shit about the N-word, okay? People would treat it like the word cracker. There's a difference. There's a reason why, outside of, Twitch's terms of service, the N-word is the N-word and cracker is not the same. No matter how racist motherfuckers are, they will still abso-fucking-lutely agree that one is worse than the other. There's a difference between pejoratives and meanie-bobini words, okay? Oh, you're being mean. Yeah, I know. I say stupid. I sometimes use ableist language, like I say someone's psychotic and whatever, right? There are pejoratives and there are words that have so much meaning and so much impact as a consequence of centuries of unjustifiable oppression. The N-word was used to demonstrate the depersonalization and the dehumanization of African slaves, specifically so you could justify chattel slavery, okay, to a broader audience. I cannot believe we're doing basic introductory history right now. That's crazy.
You know, God builds warriors in a different way. I don't know if it's because of me being born in Atlanta and growing up on the south side of Chicago that, he made me for such a time like this. It's like with David, he tended to the sheep, but while he was out there, he had to fight all kinds of animals. So when it was time for Goliath to come, he thought because he was a sheep herder that he didn't have the skill set to take down Goliath. And the thing that I have is the position, I have my heart, but the number one thing is we have God on our side. And for the people, even if you don't believe in God, God believes in you.
So you made reference to the White Lives Matter t-shirt, which you brought out at Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Why did you do that, and what did it mean?
I do certain things from a feeling. I just channel the energy. It just feels right. It's using a gut instinct, a connection with God, and just brilliance. Like as if you asked like Tanya Harding how she did the triple flip or the triple spin. Yeah. She was in so much practice that when it was time for her to skate in a competitive format It just happened. Like, it happened outside of practice. It happened in the real format. And that's what's happening is God is like preparing us for the real battles. And we are in a battle with the media. Like, the majority of the media has a godless agenda, and their jokes in that work.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of hard to keep up like a disruptive and cool attitude that's on brand with like Kanye West's edgy trolling when you're trying to be like, yeah, God is the reason for all this.
And this whole like, oh, yeah, he's crazy and all these things, they don't work because the media has, you know, they've also watched travesties happen, just even specifically to me, and just watch it and act like it wasn't happening. And they stay quiet about it.
What if they...
Dangerous, that's a great take, by the way. Being a white supremacist isn't edgy in America, though. Exactly. But white supremacists want you to fucking make it seem like it's actually edgy to be a white supremacist. Like, ooh, no one wants you to say these things. Like, bro, Donald Trump was the fucking president. Stephen Miller was writing. Stephen Miller, Mr. Turner's Diaries, was writing our immigration policy. You had Joe Biden's Customs and Border Patrol like whipping fucking Haitian migrants at the border with their goddamn, not like actual whips, right? With their reins. And you're still over here acting like, you know, being white supremacist is like super edgy and really crazy. Oh man, no one likes that. No, man, it's coded into all of our fucking institutions.
So, I want to answer the white. Yeah. I feel like someone caught what I was saying, the comparison to Tanya Hardin about the White Lives Matter. You know, my dad is an educated ex-Black Panther, and he put a text to me today. He said, "White Lives Matter, ha, 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 ha." And I said, I thought the shirt was a funny shirt. I thought the idea of me wearing it was funny. And I said, "Dad, what do you think it was funny?" He said, just a Black man stating the obvious. Yeah. And, you know, my dad doesn't listen to rap music, and he's like super educated. We opened up a water distribution center in the Dominican Republic together. He's like the original Steve Jobs, but he was getting blocked every which way with all of his ideas. And he didn't have an endless bank account, and he didn't have an Instagram. So all these ideas, he had to like take them back and compress them. Like, my dad is the most brilliant person that I know. And we actually have a strained relationship because I was taken from him, because my mom was an actress, so she was a liberal. And my dad would see certain things and say, you know, we should do it this way, we should do it that way. And the people got around my mom and pulled her away, much like, you know, Kim is a Christian, but she has people who want her to go to Interview magazine and put her ass out while she's a 40-something-year-old multi-billionaire with 4 Black children. And this is how fashion wants to, how they want to present her. So I know you give these questions, and I give you like these 3-part answers. Is this a cool format for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, cool.
And I am following it.
All right.
So you said that your father said when he saw the shirt, White Lives Matter, it's great to see a Black man stating the obvious. So by which I think you meant that's obviously true.
Yeah, that's my favorite response, because I kept on thinking, like, you know, people, they're looking for an explanation, and people say, well, as an artist, you don't have to give an explanation, but as a leader, you do.
Yes, I think that's right.
So the answer to why I wrote White Lives Matter on a shirt is because they do. It's the obvious thing.
Yeah. Why do you think that's so, and I assume the implication is, of course, all lives matter because they're lives, because God created them. Yeah. Why do you think that would be considered controversial?
Because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be Black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. My dad grew up as a military brat, and his family moved around, but they were based mostly in Delaware. And at the time, if they weren't the only black family, they were one of the few. And he would be discriminated against because he was black. So by the time he got into college, he would be discriminated against. He went to a black college, he would be discriminated against because they said he talked too white.
Yes.
And then he played the kick drum in the band. So when he would go to the club and the music was playing, where would he clap his hands? Where the kick drum is.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of where everyone else was clapping their hands. And this is the most elegant and tasteful person that I know. And
I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I know his dad's actual true motivations in saying white lives matter, ha ha ha, that's stating the obvious. Okay? I'm not gonna say that. Some of you are doing that in the chat, and we don't know. Just because someone was a Black Panther doesn't mean that they still hold on to like a lot of the principled Maoist stances of the early Black Panthers. Okay, there are plenty of Black Panthers that now work with like Rahm Emanuel and shit in Chicago. Okay, or did. It could go anyway. So that doesn't mean anything. Can't even give a coherent explanation for why other people think that phrase is problematic. He just says doesn't know. Kanye himself calls that an ex-Black Panther. It's just like there are varying degrees. There are varying degrees of discrimination that occur. But if you understand that it is discrimination towards someone who has been conditioned by a upbringing in a white supremacist country like America to behave a certain way, being discriminated by others within his community or behaving that type of way, and if you consider that to be like a slight that is so offensive, then what the fuck do you have to say about white supremacy? Like, that's crazy to me. Like, if you think one is bad, if you think that like that level of bullying is bad, then holy fuck, you must have a lot of thoughts about white supremacy then, because that's so much worse, you know? The only people that do that as though it's like morally equivalent are actual unironic white supremacists who are trying to propagandize their existence as somehow vulnerable, okay? And it's fucking bullshit.
When my mom, when the school suggested like the herding systems, because what they do is take the Black community and they separate us, and they separate the families, and the educated, they push this, need for higher education, and us as Blacks, we discriminate against each other and say, well, I got my PhD and you don't have your PhD, so I'm better than you. And so my mom, she had a PhD, and she was influenced to move to the south side of Chicago and take this job at Chicago State University. And she told my dad, if you come for us, you'll never see him again. Because, the media ridiculed me for getting the house next door to Kim to see my children. And they even said that I was stalking her and her new boyfriend because I bought the house next door to see my children. And that's how I knew that my mom had said that to him. I said, Dad, they moved us to one of the most agreed upon to be one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's almost like they tried to kill me or something. I said, Dad, why'd you never come to get us? And that's when he told me that she was told that. There's so many things that are put in Kim's head. They bring influencers. Like, no one ever knew where Corey Gamble came from. No one in the fashion world knows where Gabby came from.
Why does Tucker Carlson know or care about any of this? This is so funny. He went from insane explanations of like how discrimination within the Black community or maybe even like internalized white supremacist attitudes and not really doing a good job describing said feelings to, man, these people, where the fuck do they come from? Like, what is like brain leak? I got to run it back.
Because, you know, the media ridiculed me for getting the house next door to Kim to see my children. And they even said that I was stalking her and her new boyfriend because I bought the house next door to see my children.
I mean, that was a little weird. It was a weird thing to do. But, like, I mean, I was charitable in that situation, I think. And I understood that, like, it was a little odd. Okay? Obviously, wanting to see your children is normal, okay? It's a normal thing. That was not normal. I don't know why he's downplaying that, okay? He's kind of downplaying his actions during that process. He's downplaying the actions that he took during that time, which included, like, you know, the simulated murder of Pete Davidson in a music video. I mean, there was a lot. Like, Pete Davidson's fucking weird. Sure. Okay? He's a weird guy. I can understand why you wouldn't want your, children to be influenced by him in their lives. Okay? And some of it was funny, and then it went to a not so funny place. I'm a Pete Davidson stan. Watch yourself. I don't know.
And that's how I knew that my mom had said that to him. I said, Dad, you know, they moved us to one of the most agreed upon to be one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's almost like they tried to kill me or something. I said, Dad, why'd you never come to get us? And that's when he told me that she was told that. You know, there's so many things that are put in Kim's head. You know, they bring influencers. Like, no one ever knew where Corey Gamble came from. No one in the fashion world knows where Gabby came from.
Where did that come from? You went from people placing influence in Kim's head to Corey Gamble. Where did that come from? What the fuck? It just feels like he had like an aneurysm or something, like with two wires crossed weirdly, and he just completely flipped the conversation. Am I missing a point here? Did they cut something out?
Came from. These people were practically made in a laboratory, in my opinion. And one of the things that they're really good at doing is being nice and being likable. And what they do is, for people that have some form of influence, whether it's an educated black woman like my mother that became the head of the English department at Chicago State University, or whether it's the most influential white woman on the planet, being my ex-wife, they have people that are around them at all times telling them what to be afraid of. It's like not what to do or say specifically, it's what to be.
Whereas Kanye West has Candace Owens around him at all times, and she's certainly not telling him that, okay? Like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but unironically and unconditionally, the people surrounding Kim Kardashian in that circumstance are probably better overall, considering like at least some of the things that she's done with respect to like criminal justice reform and things of that nature, versus the people around Kanye West who are just like, yeah, King, do it. Fucking blow that shit up. Blow it up. Ruin your career. You're fucking awesome. Doesn't really matter. Like, who the fuck influenced him to talk about Jewish people and stuff? You know what I mean? We know Candace has a horrible track record in that regard. Remember when she said Hitler just wanted to make Germany great? That shit was crazy. She said that. And Kanye was like, preach. Preach on it. That's so good. Wild.
Be afraid of. And if you have a person that isn't afraid of them, you know, like a Russell Brand or Candace Owens.
Right.
It's not that we have to agree with this, but
they're not afraid.
They're not afraid to state what their opinion is.
Yes.
No one is God, and everyone has an opinion.
So a conversation like this is
He did say Russell Brand, which, God, I don't even fucking know. It's the same old blaming the elites propaganda that he's fallen into, but then somewhere along there he had someone whisper in her ear, hey, notice how a lot of the elites are Jewish, which they're not even. Like, there are significantly more Protestant elites than there are Jewish elites. Holy fuck. That's what's fucking so annoying about this conversation. What the fuck? Also, Kanye West is an elite. He's a billionaire.